I'm Annabelle Coyne, and I'm a freshman here at Georgia Southern University, and today I want to talk with you about the shortcomings of the education system. As students, education has impacted all of our lives. Through my research, I wanted to analyze the ways in which the current education system may be failing us. I'm an early childhood education major, so I wanted to focus specifically on elementary school education. I have been surrounded by education my whole life. My mother is currently the principal of a small elementary school in rural South Georgia town. Through visiting and volunteering at her school, I have been able to see firsthand how underfunded and stagnant their programs were. The local economy is struggling, and it's due to how little they invest in their future, the students. I believe that education is something that affects everyone, so I was curious to see in what ways the system of education as it is now could be improved. From both my experience and through talking with my peers, I feel confident in saying that most of us can't say that we wouldn't change a thing about our experiences with the education system so far. I think it is important, especially for future educators, to be able to look at and identify the problems in education so that we can learn from them. Although education has evolved in many ways with a more diverse student population and advances in technology that help promote ideas and facts from all different time periods, there are also many areas where education seems to be at a standstill. Some of these areas include old curriculum that consists of the four main liberal arts subjects, teachers who aren't encouraging their students to be creative and use their imaginations, students who aren't being taught about their role as a citizen of the world. The focus of education is on test taking, and educators who only use conventional methods of teaching. The curriculum taught in primary through high school is still rooted in the same four subjects, with little to no assignments that integrate the subjects so that students can achieve a better understanding of how the subjects interact with each other in the real world. This is a diagram of the hierarchy of subjects. At the top is math, sciences, and language. In second falls the humanities, and in third, as always, is art, drama, and dance. Professor of Education Stephen Wolk states in his article, Educating Students for an Outdated World, that if my grandparents walked into a typical classroom today, they would know exactly what to do. Sit at their desk, be quiet, and listen to the teacher. His argument seems astonishing, since his grandparents were attending school in the early 1900s, but it is true that the same basic methods used in classrooms back then are still used today. Employing old teaching practices hinders diversity. This can be seen when educators use old literature, which in most cases focuses on only our culture. Emily Jackson, in her article, Homeschool Sweet Homeschool, believes this problem of reining in diversity could date back to the 19th century, when schools were established to help integrate immigrants into the American society. Wolk explains that today, students spend 90% of their days in desk, where they are assigned short-term projects. Many classrooms are just lectures with PowerPoints and worksheets. Megan McCaffrey, an assistant professor of education at Governors State University, takes a look at how literature students are reading affects their education. The student population has become exceptionally diverse, so the literature should evolve diversely just as the students are, but there's a shortfall of diversity in children's literature. And as you can see, this is a diagram representing the diversity of main characters in children's books. The blue stands for white main characters, and the other colors stand for minority main characters. Today, students should be able to celebrate their diversity, but it is hard when they are unable to find characters in books who are similar to them because it makes them feel out of place. Not only do just the students who feel left out suffer, but when literature at school offers inadequate main character diversity, all students suffer. Test taking has become the center of education, and as you can see, a child entering pre-kindergarten today will take an average of 113 standardized assessments by the time he or she graduates from public school. It determines whether students pass or fail. The results reflect onto the school and educators who are supposed to prepare the students. Brendan Rappel explains that when the stakes are that high, it leads teachers to practice fewer innovative teaching methods. In his contemporary review of standardized testing in American schools, students' progress and achievement are measured by standardized testing. The only problem with that, even though the student may be progressing in some areas, what most standardized tests assess is extremely narrow. Many tests come with high stakes, which causes teachers to be less innovative and students' anxiety. This hinders the learning process. The material on tests isn't the only valuable information that students should be learning, which leads some parents to question the importance of test taking. Students are taught information to pass a test, not about what brings joy and meaning to our everyday lives. And as you can see by this graphic, this is the students that are worried about how much public school emphasizes testing. When students are able to understand what brings joy and meaning to our lives, It offers them a reason to try harder in school so that they continue doing the activities that make their lives worthwhile. This is Madeline, and she is a senior and a product of the Georgia public school system, and I wanted to get her opinion on standardized test taking.
I feel that test taking is not fair because some students, they know the material, but then when it comes to the test, they have a hard time showing that they know the material because they only have one chance to really show. And I see this firsthand because I internship at the elementary school, the local elementary school. And I see the students do their work and get good grades, but then when it comes to the test, they get nervous and they don't do as well on the test.
Author and educator Ken Robinson believes that education is supposed to guide us into a future that we can't grasp. In that case, we are educating students for something we can't predict. Robinson explains that the education system, the way it is today, is diminishing the creativity that we are all born with. Testing stigmatizes students' mistakes so that they are afraid to take chances and fear that they will be wrong. If you are not prepared to be wrong, you will never come up with anything original. Through his travels, Robinson has realized that every education system focuses on the same hierarchy of subjects. And the lead is mathematics and languages, humanities falls into second, and is always at the end is arts. This leads to artistic students feeling as if they aren't smart enough when they struggle in the core classes, even if they are exceeding in the arts. And in this graphic, you can see the teacher is changing the students' thoughts to resemble hers. And these are my citations. Give us some specific examples of how your teachers are teaching more innovatively.
I'd be happy to. I love to brag on our teachers and our students. We have lots of exciting stuff going on across the school. We're working to implement cognitively guided instructional strategies in our math classes, where students are working on real-world problems so that they'll become better problem solvers. Our students can use any strategy they would like to solve the problem, and then the class comes together to decide which was the most efficient strategy to solve this problem. We have classroom transformations going on across the school. This past week, our entire 4th grade was turned into a boot camp. There was an obstacle course that went down the length of the hallway, and the students cheered each other going through the obstacle course. The students worked on missions throughout the day, had a great time working in tents. They were all in their camo. Students had on their helmets, and they didn't even realize that they were reviewing for the test. So it was a really exciting way to have better student engagement. We had another classroom that transformed into Disneyland. When the students got to their classroom, they got their wristbands so that they were matched up with their family. They were then given a budget, how much money that they could spend, so they were able to look on the Disneyland site and figure out exactly what they could do on their vacation within their budget. The students had a great time, and they reinforced the standards of working with decimals. We have many after-school activities where students can focus on different activities that they have the biggest interest in. We try to have lots of things that include the arts, like an after-school course that performs. We have an art club that meets monthly. We have a science club. We have students that can be on a robotics team, and we have places. We have to keep up with our kids, and our students are certainly in a data-driven world and a technical world, and that's something that we want to expose them to. So here at the elementary school, we have implemented in the past few years a one-to-one program where each student has a device that they can work with during the day that is their device. We have iPads for all of our 3rd graders, and we use a laptop for our 4th and 5th graders, just because our 3rd graders tend to be working more on building things on their computers, whereas our 4th and 5th graders tend to be publishing things. So that's the reason for the different technologies, but it has been wonderful to see the teachers implement these things in their classroom. We have many more teachers that are now working with programs such as Google Classroom and different platforms so that they can have almost a seamless technology integration in their room. We have smart boards in every classroom, which are actually interactive whiteboards, and those are a wonderful way to increase student engagement in our classrooms. And then we do many other things that are just kind of fun. We have some whiteboard desks where students can actually work on their desktop. We have mini whiteboards. We have lots of manipulatives and things like that, hands-on things. So when you go into our classrooms now, it's not students just sitting in rows as it used to be. It is actually students working with hands-on lessons and being really involved in the learning.
Thank you.